everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video because I am going to be doing a 24-hour readathon. It feels like it's been ages, although it has been ages since I last did one of these, and I can't wait. I've said in a few of my vlogs recently I am in such a reading mood. I'm just so excited to consume all the books. So I can't think of anything better than spending my entire weekend just sitting and reading. And reading romance books in particular. I'm in such a romance mood at the moment, so we are just going to be reading romance for 24 hours and I cannot wait. I have an overwhelming amount of choices here. I have all of my possibilities sitting on the floor next to me here. I have a pile of all the romance books that were on my July TBR, and the July TBR was predominantly romance books because, like I said, I'm in a huge romance mood at the minute. I also have another pile that's like the same size of other romance books that have just been calling my name recently. I've just picked them up off the shelves, so I have a lot of options. I'm just going to run through them really quickly with you guys just so you're aware of what my options are. But I am going to be starting with Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I am actually halfway through this one already, so it just makes sense to finish this one off at the beginning of the readathon. I am obsessed with this one, you guys. Like, I knew I was going to be trash for this, but I didn't realise quite how trashy I would be. I absolutely am eating up Anna Huang's writing. Like, I feel like she could become a new favourite author because there's just something about the way she writes. It honestly has me squealing. The way she does the sexual tension between these two characters is just something else, and I am absolutely obsessed. So I will be starting off the readathon with this one. The other books on my TBR are Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score. This is the second book in the Knock 'Em Out series. I read Things We Never Got Over last year, I believe, and I gave it 5 stars. I absolutely adored it, but I've been wary of picking this one up because I have heard mixed reviews, but it is a possibility. I do need to get to it at some point. I also have Beach Read by Emily Henry. This will be my second Emily Henry. I'm pretty sure I read another Emily Henry in my last 24-hour readathon. I read Book Lovers. I absolutely sped through it, so hopefully this will be another quick and fun read. I've got It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This would be my first Tessa Bailey, but I've heard such good things about her writing. I also have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Again, I've heard such good things about Lauren Asher. I've heard such good things about this series in particular. I have read Throttled by her and I absolutely loved it, so I'm hoping I'll love this series too. And the last one on my TBR is A Little Bit Country by Brian D. Kennedy. This is a male-male romance, and one of the guys in it, one of the main characters, is a country singer. Need I say more? And then I have quite a few that are not on my TBR, but I just really want to get to soon as well. So I've got The No Show by Beth O'Leary. Beth O'Leary is one of my favourite romance authors. I just eat her books up. I speed through them so quickly, so it'd be really good to get another one of hers checked off. I also have Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. I adore the Brown Sister series with my whole heart, so I'm really interested to see what I think of her first YA romance. I've heard really good things, and because it's YA, again, I think it'd be like really quick to read. I've got Ashton Parker Doesn't Fail. I always want to say Doesn't Fall. Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herring Blake. This is the second book in the... I'm not sure what this series is called, but the first book was Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and I loved that book. I'm pretty sure I gave it 5 stars, so I've been really hoping to get to the next one in the series. It says this one is a rivals to lovers story. It just sounds like so much fun, and I loved her writing in Delilah Green Doesn't Care. I've got another Tessa Bailey, which is My Killer Vacation. This one is quite short. I think it's less than 300 pages, so again, it could be like a quick read, and it just sounds really fun as well. Like, I'm pretty sure it's like a bounty hunter and a school teacher end up becoming like the murder solving team no one asked for, and it just seems like a lot of fun. I also have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. I need to get to this at some point because I've said before I'm not a huge fan of Christina Lauren's writing. I have read their books, The Unhoneymooners and another one as well, and I didn't particularly enjoy either of them, but people just rave about Love and Other Words, so I feel like I need to read it just to see what all the fuss is about. Like, people honestly like would sell their soul to Christina Lauren for this book. They just, I don't know, people seem to love it, so I need to see what all the fuss is about. I've got One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing and I really want to make my way through her backlist, so this is one I'd love to check off, but I feel like it might be quite a sad one. I don't know if I'm in the mood for a sad book, but also it's like super floppy, and the idea of just holding this while I'm reading today is just, it's calling to me. And finally, I've got Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I have never read any Jen DeLuca. I don't actually know how many, I don't know how prolific Jen DeLuca is. I've had quite a few people recommend this one to me. I'm pretty sure it's about 2 actors and they're like enemies to lovers. That's about all I know really, but it just sounds like, again, it'd be like a light-hearted, fun romance read. So those are all of my options for the next 24 hours. I don't know which ones I'm going to get to, but you guys know I'm a huge mood reader, so it's quite nice to have so many options, and then each time I finish a book, I'll just see see what I fancy the most. There are multiple ways to do a 24-hour readathon, as I'm sure you guys know. Today we're going to be going with the timer method. We're not going to be doing it quite like I did it last time though. The last time I did the timer method, I set the timer and I paused it literally any time I was not reading. So like going to the bathroom, getting something to eat, getting distracted on my phone. Like if I was not reading, that timer was paused, so it was a true 24 hours of consistent reading. But it took me like 5 days to complete it, and I just don't have the time for that at the minute. So instead, I'm only going to pause the timer when I'm sleeping. So the plan is to start the timer, hopefully read for 12 hours today, start the timer to go to bed, and then get up, start the timer again, and read for another 12 hours tomorrow. That's the plan, but these things never go how I want them to go. But yeah, I am super excited to get started. If you could not tell, I just want to eat up all the fun romance reads, and I'm really hopeful that I'll find some new favourites in here as well. So yeah, I think without further ado, I'm gonna get myself all set up. We'll start the timer and we will finish off Twisted Love first of all. So I've been reading for nearly 3 hours now. We're at 21 hours and 8 minutes left, and I have just finished the first book of this readathon, which is Twisted Love by Anna Huang, and I'm gonna give this one 5 stars. I ate this up. Like, I love this book so much. It had everything I wanted. It was definitely a lot darker than a lot of the romances I've read recently, but I love a dark romance. Both these characters had such like dark, traumatic pasts, and he was involved in some shady stuff even now, and they almost gave it like thrillery aspects to the book, but with just the best romance. Like the smut was incredible, the enemies to lovers, forbidden romance, like everything about it I just absolutely love. This is my kind of book. Alex is the hottest thing ever, and I would die if I could be Ava and date him. I loved seeing his like grumpy, unfeeling exterior soften throughout the book, and I loved that it was dual POV, so we got to see that happen from his perspective as well. Even like the third act breakup type part of this was just done so well in my opinion. Like it was totally believable. That obviously most third act breakups are kind of a form of miscommunication, but it wasn't annoying at all in this. It made complete sense, and like the way they then made up afterwards, like the ending, I love this, and I need to read the second one now. I think the second one is about Bridget and Reese, and Bridget is one of Ava's best friends in this, and Reese is her bodyguard, which is another sort of like forbidden romance, and I honestly cannot wait. I think I might need to order on Amazon like now, because I need more of Anna Huang's writing in my life. But yeah, amazing start to the readathon. First book is done. So now I need to choose my second book, and I honestly do not know what to choose. Like I've got all of my options sitting here, and I've been like looking at them every now and again while I've been reading, trying to think which one am I going to pick up next, and I honestly just cannot decide. So many of them sound so good. I feel like I should probably go for one that's going to be a super fast read, because it'd be really good if I could get 2 books out of the way, feel accomplished and feel motivated to continue. So I feel like I should go for one of the books that's going to be like on the faster side and maybe like the fluffier side. I'm currently tempted by Beach Read, The No-Show, Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute, and A Little Bit Country, because I feel like all of those will be nice fast reads and quite fluffy and cutesy as well. Okay, I think I'm going to go for Beach Read. I think it's time that I finally read this book, because like I said, I read Book Lovers and I absolutely adored it. I loved Emily Henry's writing, and I need to read the rest of her books, like be completely caught up on her backlist. So many people love Beach Read. I think for a lot of people it's their favourite, so hopefully I'm going to enjoy this one too. I think this one follows January and Gus. January is a hopeless romantic who narrates her life like she's the lead in a blockbuster movie. Gus is a serious literary type who thinks true love is a fairy tale, but January and Gus have more in common than you'd think. They're both broke, they have crippling writer's block, and they need to write bestsellers before summer ends. The result? A bet to swap genres and see who gets published first. The risk? In telling each other stories, their world might be changed entirely. That sounds super interesting. I loved Emily Henry's writing before, and I always love when books talk about books and writing. So I feel like that's going to be an aspect that I really enjoy in this one. It's again an aspect that I really enjoyed in Book Lovers. And it's going to give me more of my enemies to lovers fix. And I do love a good enemies to lovers. This one is just over about 360 pages, so about the same length as Twisted Love. So hopefully I can finish this one. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but let's get started on this one now, and I'll give you an update once I'm a little bit further into it. I'm just popping in with a really quick update just because I don't think I actually mentioned that I'm doing this readathon with one of my besties, Christy from Christy Reads. I said that I was going to do this 24-hour readathon, and then Christy obviously wanted to get involved, so we're doing the 24-hour readathon together. We're on like a backstage channel thing on StreamYard. We basically do this all the time instead of FaceTime, but we're doing our own sprints to keep each other accountable. So we're doing hour-long sprints with little 5-minute breaks just to quickly update on how we're doing, keep each other accountable, keep each other motivated, and honestly it's such a good way to do a readathon. I highly recommend next time you do a readathon, grab a pal, and even if you can't do it like together, do it like over the internet, FaceTime or something, because it just makes it so much more fun. But basically, like I said, we're doing hour-long sprints, and we've just done our first hour-long sprint in which I have been reading this book. So in the first hour of reading this, I have gotten to page 77, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty happy with. Like, 77 pages in an hour is not too bad. That's more than a page a minute. I'm gonna take that. And if we're going by that, this should probably take me what? Like, how many pages did I say it was? Like 350. So maybe like 4.5 hours, just over 4.5 hours to read the whole book, which I'm not gonna lie, that's not too shabby. I don't think I'm the fastest reader in the world, but I also don't think I'm the slowest reader either. I think I've got quite a good pace. 4.5 hours for a book is really not too bad. And it makes me so excited because if that is the case, I'll probably finish this up, what time is it? Maybe like 9ish. We're nearly at 5. So if I finish this around 9 o'clock, I can then move on to like a third book today, which would be great, and then I'll have like a few hours to start that before I go to bed, and then I can finish that one off tomorrow and hopefully get another 1 or 2 in as well. So this could be a really successful readathon. But yeah, I don't have too much to update on this one just yet. I think it's going to take me a minute to get into it just because Twisted Love was so different. Like, Twisted Love is a very dark, seductive, thrillery type romance, like very forbidden romance, whereas this one's a much more fun, fluffy read, which is what I wanted. I wanted to like switch up the vibe so that I don't get bored. I keep myself entertained throughout this readathon. We're following January, who has gone through all sorts of like difficult times recently and is just basically lost the will to have any hope for her life or for the world in general. She's like very just like down and doesn't really believe in like love or like anything good at the moment, and she goes to stay in this beach house that used to be her dad's, and she decides that she's going to go there, she's going to stay there, and she's going to write her 5th novel. It's the 5th novel out of like a 5-book deal she's got with her publishers, so she needs to finish this novel and like finish off the deal, finish off the contract, but she just can't write it because she's a romance writer and at the moment she doesn't believe in love. So she goes to like shut herself in this like beach house in this like more sort of like small town vibe. She gets out of New York City, which is where she lives, to just have alone time to properly focus on finishing this book. But when she gets there, her next door neighbour happens to be her nemesis Gus, who was her rival back in college. She like immediately fancied him back in college, thought he was really attractive. He is like a really good writer, but the only interaction they really had wasn't the best. Like, he came across as like quite stuck up and really looked down on her genre. He seems to write more like general fiction, I guess, more like highbrow fiction in his opinion, and now they've not spoken to each other in years and his book is doing really well. People seem to know more about his book than they do about her books, and she realises this is her next door neighbour for like the next however many months while she tries to finish this book. But he also seems to be struggling with his next book too. That's basically as far as we've gotten. Like, it starts off very enemies, like rivals I guess, but they're already sort of warming up to each other a little bit with they're spending a little bit bit of time together, and the banter is brilliant. Like, I love the way Emily Henry writes the witty banter between her love interests. That's one of my favourite things. That's one of the reasons I love Talia Hibbert so much, because I love the witty banter that she writes. So I do have really high hopes for this, how this one continues. I think I'm just taking a minute to like properly get into it and like settle into a very different style. But I am only 76 pages in, so we have a way to go. I think I'm going to continue reading this just now. We've just started another sprint, so I'll try and get another good chunk of this read, and then it'll be virgin on like 6 o'clock, so I'll probably have to think about getting dinner, but we can work that out later. We are fast approaching the halfway mark. We have 14 hours and 40 minutes left to go, and I have just finished my second book of the readathon. So I've just finished Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I am also going to give this one 5 out of 5 stars. I love this book so much. Like, I just love Emily Henry's writing. This is the second book I've read of hers, and it's just cemented to me that she is definitely a favourite author, and I really desperately need to get People We Meet on Vacation and Happy Place now, because she's definitely going to be like an auto-buy author, and I'm pretty sure I'm just going to love every one of her books. I love her writing, I love her characters. Gus in this, I mean, I loved January as well, but I just loved Gus so much, and like how he worked through everything that happened in this book. I love the communication between these two characters. I love the realness of it and how they both dealt with like the difficult things that were going on in their lives and how that impacted on their relationship. And I think there was maybe like scenes in this that people might not be completely happy with, but I think they were more realistic than a lot of romances you would read. I just felt that I found this one so believable, and I was so invested in their romance. This one is all in the perspective of January, which I thought would be an issue because I do love a dual POV romance, and at first I really wanted to see Gus's inner thoughts, but I actually ended up enjoying it just as much, even though it was only from the one perspective. I loved how she used January to talk about the process of writing. So like January talked about like how she usually writes and what inspires her, and how this was different because she's writing a very different type of book. And I just found that so interesting. Like I said before, I love when books talk about books or about writing, and it just made me think, like, is Emily Henry literally writing her writing process right now? I just found that so interesting. And the ending, I love the ending so much. I don't know how to explain this without giving any sort of spoilers away, but I love when a book either has the title in it or has a scene that really explains what the title is. And there was a scene like that in this, and honestly it made me squeal. It was just so perfect. Oh, yeah. Absolutely loved it. So 5 out of 5 stars. Very happy with the readathon so far. This has been so successful. I feel like I always end up getting 5-star books when I do a readathon, and I don't know if it's just because I pick out books that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna love to keep me motivated, and it always just goes well, or if I just get too excited when I do a readathon and I just enjoy reading too much. I don't know. But anyway, love this. Need to read more Emily Henry ASAP. I think next I'm going to pick up a book on my Kindle, because I actually completely forgot that I have another romance on my TBR for this month, but I don't own the physical copy. I do have it on Kindle Unlimited, and that is Flawless by Elsie. If you watch my July TBR, you will know how excited I have been to read this book, so it's definitely got to be next up. But I also feel like reading a book on my Kindle, because it's 10 to 10. It's 10 to 10. So I am probably going to move through to my bed soon, and I feel like reading on my Kindle in bed is definitely a vibe. I already squealed over the blurb in my July TBR, but I'm just going to have to like read out a little bit of it again, just so you can know why I'm so excited about this if you don't know much about this book. But the very start of the blurb is, the rules were simple. Keep my hands off his daughter and stay out of trouble. But now I'm stuck with her. There's only one bed, and well, rules are made to be broken. Does that not just make you want to read the book? I mean, come on. This is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series. It is a steamy cowboy romance, I think, and this one we're following, I have no idea what his name is because it doesn't say. This one is about a guy who's like the golden boy of professional bull riding, and then he does something to tarnish his reputation, so his agent basically has him babysat by his niece, I think. Oh no, his daughter. His daughter. So his agent has his daughter babysit him to just like keep him in line, make sure he's like cleaning up his reputation. But then of course sparks start to fly between the two of them, and I just can't wait to see what happens. People rave about this series. I think people said like the first one and the third one are the best, so I'm hoping to really love this one. I've seen it everywhere recently and I feel like it's one, especially because it's on my Kindle, I'm just gonna like speed through, and who knows, maybe I'll end up staying up later than I thought I was gonna stay up tonight. Depends how into this book I get. Fingers crossed. Ready. I need coffee. Okay guys, it is the next day. It's now Sunday. I have literally just woken up. I'm not even sure if I'm entirely awake yet. It's 5 to 9. My plan is to start reading again at 9 and obviously go until 9 o'clock this evening, which I think is pretty good considering I don't think I fell asleep until like after 2 last night, which is really annoying because I was reading the book. I was literally like falling asleep. So I put the book down maybe like half 12ish. I was like, okay, this is great. I'll set an alarm for 8. I'll wake up at 8, like perfect, 8 till 8 the next day. And I literally lay there till like after 2, unable to sleep, which could have been reading time. But in my head, I was like, no, because if you start reading again, you'll keep yourself up. So really, you should be trying to sleep. It was just a whole ordeal, but it's fine. It's fine. We're going to continue reading today. Last night I actually managed to speed through quite a lot of Flawless. I got to the 47% mark, which is page 188 of 408. This is such a quick read. I really like Elsie Silver's writing style. It's just like really easy to read and it's really fun. Again, the banter between these two characters is brilliant, and it's dual POV, which I've already said is my favourite. I love seeing both points of view as they fall through each other, and it's really interesting because like Rhett to begin with really doesn't like Summer. Like he thinks she's like this prissy city girl and he's like this like rough country girl, but then you get to see his opinion change of her, which I love. But then it's also really fun because Summer has always had a crush on Rhett because she used to have like his poster up in her bedroom like when she was younger and everything, and now she's getting to meet the real him, get to know him. I just love the whole dynamic. I also absolutely love like the setting for this one, and basically in order to like babysit him, like I said before, she moves in with him to his ranch in Chestnut Springs. Well, his dad's ranch. He lives there with his dad and like his other brothers. There's 3 brothers and 1 sister, him being one of the brothers, and one of his brothers is like works away with the military I think, and the other one has another ranch like one over from his dad, and like the total like family dynamic between them is just so cute. I love it so much. The dad, Harvey, is everything. I feel like he's everything you'd want your love interest dad to be like. He's just so family oriented and he immediately like likes Summer, welcomes her even if Rhett doesn't. It is making me so excited to read the other books because those are about the other siblings, I believe. I don't know. I'm assuming Cade gets a book. Cade is like his brother that lives one over and he's got a son. So I feel like there would be something in that there. There must be like a thing about him being a single dad. I I feel like surely there's a book in there. And then I know that the third book is about Jasper, I'm pretty sure, which is one of their friends who is like a really big hockey player, I want to say. Yeah, I'm just really excited to read the other books now because I want to have like some insight on all these characters. Like obviously we've been introduced to them. Honestly, a little bit more than you would usually in like a companion series. I feel like we know a little bit more about them already, but we've just seen them from these two characters' perspective, so it'll be really interesting to see their inner thoughts and who they really are. It is now time to start the timer again. We're going to try and read for 12 hours today at the 47% mark for Flawless, so I am going to sit in my chair, which I basically didn't move from yesterday, you will have seen, and then I'll probably just try and finish this one off while I sit there, and then I'll come back and update you guys. So we have 9 hours and 10 minutes left of the readathon, and I have just finished the third book of this little challenge, which was of course Flawless by Elsie Silver, and I'm gonna give this one 4 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I have fallen in love with Elsie Silver's writing and fallen in love with the Chestnut Springs, I want to say series. I know I've only read one book, but just the whole feel of it, the vibe of it, the family dynamic, like I said before. I am so invested in these characters. Like I cannot wait to pick up the rest of the series and find out more about each of the characters. I honestly just want to pick up the next one now. I'm not going to do that during this readathon. I feel like I want a bit more variety, so I'm going to pick up something else. But I will definitely be picking up the rest of the series very, very soon. I absolutely loved the ending of Flawless. It was just everything I could have wanted. Honestly, it was perfect. So yeah, really excited to continue with the series. I definitely think this could be a new favourite romance series. Also, at the end of the book, there is a playlist for the book, which is all country music, and if you know me, you'll know I adore country music, so bet your ass I have saved this playlist on my Spotify. I've already searched it up, I've got it saved, and I will be listening to it later. I wish I was the sort of person that could read while listening to music, but I just can't. Like, I can listen to instrumental music, but anything with words in, my brain just cannot compute. Like I cannot take in words off a page while also listening to words in my ears. I will definitely be listening to it at a later date. Maybe next time I go for a drive, I'll put that playlist on, and I cannot wait. But it is time to pick our next book of the readathon. Like we said, we've got 9 hours left, so I feel like I could definitely finish another book and maybe start another one as well. And I already know which book I'm going to pick up. We have gone completely from my TBR so far, so I feel like I want to continue that trend. And the next one I'm going to pick up is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I think I mentioned before I have read Throttled by Lauren Asher, and I still need to continue with that series, the Dirty Air series, because I absolutely loved Throttled. But I've just heard such amazing things about The Fine Print and the Dreamland Billionaires series in general. I wasn't sure I was going to pick up in the readathon because I, for some reason, had it in my head this wouldn't be a quick read. I don't know why, I just had it in my head that it'd be more of a slog. I have no idea why, but Maddie was just telling me that this is actually a super fast read and they highly recommended it for this readathon, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I don't really know much about this other than the fact that I think the series follows 3 brothers who all own like a Disneyland type theme park type situation, I think. I think this one is kind of like Grumpy Sunshine Enemies to Lovers vibes, but I really don't know, to be completely honest. I'm pretty sure I remember, I think it was Maddie that was reading this one day when we were on sprints like at least least a year ago now, and I'm sure they said when they were like 3/4 of the way through they didn't know how they were going to rate it, because at the point they were at, something had happened that they didn't see how it could ever be forgiven. Like, there's always like a third act breakup type thing, but for this one they just didn't understand how we could possibly forgive that, and I'm pretty sure that was this book, and it's got me really, really intrigued. So yeah, let's go ahead and start our 4th book of the readathon. We are just under 3 hours away from the end of this readathon, and I've just finished my 4th book. I'm gonna give this one 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely really enjoyed this. The first half and the very end were my favourites. Like, those would have been like 5 stars. I was getting 5-star feels to begin with. But there was this chunk after the halfway mark up until the very end that started to get a little bit annoying for me. After the sort of like third act breakup, I think there was maybe 4 different scenes where he went to go and speak to her to try and like win her back, and the scene would end with her shutting the door in his face or walking away or something like that. And I just feel like there was no need for that to happen as many times as it did. But saying that, I absolutely loved the big gesture at the end to get them back together. And I loved how this one had an epilogue and an extended epilogue. So we got an epilogue from both their points of view, and one is like a little bit later and one's a little bit later than that, so you can see more of an idea of how their sort of happily ever after continues. I really loved Rowan's character in this, and seeing how he changed and grew throughout the book, and like what Zara brought out in him. He starts off as this very like grumpy, gruff, stern, unfeeling business guy, and it's really interesting to see him sort of like get more comfortable, other sides to him come out, both in Zara's perspective watching it and also in his own perspective and seeing how he thinks about things. And I really love the premise of this series in general. Like, we have these 3 brothers and their grandfather passes away, and in his will he leaves them each a task that they have to do in order to get their inheritance. So Rowan's task was to find the weaknesses of Dreamland, the theme park, and come up with a plan for bettering it. And then he had to then present something to a board which his grandfather had decided on, and if they voted for him and said that it was like a good idea, then he would get his inheritance. And then I think the other 2 brothers, I'm really interested by the second one, because the second one is Declan, I believe, and I'm pretty sure his task is to marry and impregnate someone, which is just odd to me. So I'm really interested to read that one and find out how on earth that plays out. I'm pretty sure that's terms and conditions, so I probably will be picking that up very soon because I'm just really intrigued by that premise. I think for my final book of the readathon, I'm definitely not going to finish another book, but I think I'm going to pick A Little Bit Country up just for my last little bit of reading. I feel like this is going to be like a really fun and fast read, perfect for the last like 2.5 hours that I have left. I'm hoping I can maybe get to like halfway through this one. Funnily enough, I think this one is almost like a mix of the last 2 books I've read, because it's country vibes but it's also set in a theme park. One of them wants to be a country star, the other one hates country music. It just sounds fun and I'm absolutely obsessed with the cover, so I'm going to go ahead, pick this one up, and we'll see how much I can get read before the time is up. the next day, obviously I did finish the readathon last night, as you saw, but by the time I was finished, I was absolutely knackered. So I thought I would just wait until today until I was a little bit more lively, my thoughts were a little bit more coherent to do this last update. So as we reached the 24-hour mark, I got to page 170 of A Little Bit Country. So I believe I am just over halfway through. I'm enjoying this one so far, but I feel like it's just fine. We're following Luke and Emmett, and it is dual POV. We get both of their points of view. So we have Emmett, who is on a mission to become the biggest gay country music star, and as a step to doing that, he gets a job as part of like the chorus of some kind that do performances at Wonderworld, which is the theme park owned by Wanda Jean Stubbs, who's like this massive country music star. And then we also have Luke, who lives in Jackson Hollow, I want to say it's called, the town where Wonderworld is. He is gay as well, but he is not out. He is terrified of coming out. Jackson Hollow is a very small community that's quite close-minded. He's really terrified of what people would think if they found out he was gay. His mum is also deeply homophobic. She's very religious and she believes that being gay is a sin. He lives his whole life basically being frightened of being outed. All of his actions are with fear that somehow he's gonna get outed. So he won't even like spend too much time with another guy. He won't look at a guy too long. He won't be too friendly with another guy just in case some sort of rumour starts. And obviously these two guys meet when they both start working at Wonderworld as in different jobs, and the story goes from there. I really love some of the ideas in this one, like the way that the author is exploring Luke particularly and his fear on coming out and other people's thoughts on it is really, really powerful. And I really love the country vibes in this. Like anything to do with country singing is great, and I love how you get like snippets of the lyrics either that Emmett is writing or written by other country music stars in this book. And the romance so far is cute, it's very wholesome, but I'm just not crazy about this book. Like, it's good, it's fine. At the minute I think it's sitting at a 3-star read, and I think it's maybe because it is YA. I think YA contemporaries maybe just don't quite do it for me anymore. I feel like I need that adult content. Not even in terms of smut, like obviously I love myself a bit of smut, but just in terms of the way things are explored, it's just very different in an adult romance or an adult contemporary. YA fantasy, still very much into that, but I think YA contemporaries might have to be a thing of the past for me. But yeah, that was my last little bit of reading for this 24-hour readathon. This was incredibly successful. I'm so happy. I managed to finish 4 books and get halfway through another one. Obviously the first book I was already halfway through, but still, that is some good going. I definitely think that this way of doing the 24-hour readathon, doing the 12 hours one day and the 12 hours the next, is probably now my favourite way to do a 24-hour readathon, and it makes me feel like I could do a lot more in the future because it was just so much more chilled than any other way I've done it before. So these may become a very regular thing on this channel, but let's just do a very quick wrap up of everything I've read. So obviously I started halfway through Twisted Love by Anna Huang, and I finished this one off fairly quickly. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely adored it. I loved the sexual chemistry between these two characters. I loved the like dark, sinister vibes of it. I loved the forbidden romance. I was so invested in the characters. I was squealing. Definitely a huge fan of Anna Huang's writing and need to read more by her. So yeah, that was a very successful start to the readathon. I then picked up Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I did give this one 5 out of 5 stars, but I've been doing some thinking and I think I'm going to demote it to a 4-star read. Just the more I think about it, the more I realise it didn't hit me the same as my 5-star reads do usually. Like, I did really enjoy it. I can't really put my finger on why it's not quite a 5-star read, but it didn't actually give me those 5-star feels. I don't think it's one that I'm going to continue to think about too much, but I am still a huge fan of Emily Henry's writing. I am going to pick up everything she writes. It just wasn't quite that 5-star feels, but I loved it nonetheless. I then picked up Flawless by Elsie Silver on my Kindle and I was obsessed with it, and I ended up giving that one 4 out of 5 stars, and I am so excited to continue with the series because I read the blurb for the second one earlier today, and I knew it was going to be for Cade, which is one of the brothers, and he's like this grumpy single dad, and in his book he falls for the younger nanny, so it's like an age gap romance. It's grumpy sunshine, and it reminds me of The Confidence of Wildflowers. Like it reminds me of the blurb of that, and I love that book, so I cannot wait to pick that up. I think I might have to pick it up this week actually and just like binge the whole series. So very happy with that. I then picked up The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and I realised I have started 3 different series in this vlog. Maybe not my finest decision. I'm definitely gonna have to come up with some sort of spreadsheet or something to start tracking my series, because I feel like companion series in particular could be like my new favourite thing. Mostly because I could just like read one and come back to the next one either straight after, or I could wait a few weeks whenever and it won't really affect my reading of the other books. But again, I love this one. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars and cannot wait to continue with the rest of the series. And finally, I started A Little Bit Country by Brian D. Kennedy, and I am currently on page 170 of this one. Currently sent a 3-star read, but we will see when I finish it. So that will conclude this 24-hour reading vlog. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you made it to the end of this video, pop the clock emoji down below just to let me know that you made it to the end and that you enjoyed your time here. But as always, if you did enjoy the video, please do give it a big thumbs up, subscribe for more bookish content from me, comment down below with any of your thoughts and feelings. I do reply to every single comment. I love you all, and I'll see you in my next one.